Have you ever finished something big in your life, whether it's like a project, a great workout, or just a really big accomplishment? And instead of patting yourself on the back, all you could think about is how you could have done it better? You're not alone. A lot of us are always kind of thinking about the next thing instead of stopping and taking a moment to pause and reflecting and saying, good job. Let's talk about self criticism and where does it come from? A lot of times in life, it comes from past conditioning or chasing after perfection, which, as we all know, perfection doesn't exist. But maybe you grew up in a household where if you brought home your report card or a paper and you didn't get an A plus 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 on it, it wasn't good enough. So you're always chasing that thing that doesn't exist, which is perfection. And that's, maybe where it comes from. But then how does it show up for you in your life? I sometimes feel it kind of creeping in through negative self talk. Other ways that I could show up are guilt. And I feel like negative self talk is something I really want to spend some time talking about in this video because being your own worst inner critic is the worst if you have this. And mine has subsided a lot over the years, but I remember times where it was like, I wouldn't even talk because I was scared of saying the wrong thing. And that was because of past conditioning. So let's get into it. If you've ever felt like you're not good enough, I want us to change the conversation going on inside of our head. And I want to introduce this concept of switching your mindset to your negative self talk becoming your inner mentor or your best friend. And think about how your best friend or someone you love would talk to you. So if you have a negative thought, for example, I am lazy, what would your best friend say to you? Maybe they'll say, you know what, you're just taking a break right now and you need to catch a breath. Feel the difference of those two things. Feeling the heaviness of being lazy, there's almost that guilt built in versus your best friend saying, you know what, you need a break. And this is actually self care. Two totally different mindsets. So let's begin to just explore that concept of inner mentor or best friend versus negative self critic. Whenever you feel like you're getting into this like negative swirl of thoughts or um, judgments about yourself, and you know how they are, they don't just come in like ones, right? They come in multiples and they just start swirling. It's almost like I picture like a tornado or a big storm coming in, and there's all these like little things flying around in the tornado, right? And those are the thoughts that are swirling around in your mind, and they're all that negative self talk that we don't want. So when you're feeling like you're in the midst of a storm, how can you kind of take a break? Maybe you journal, or you can just think about this. But I really like to put pen to paper because it gets things out of your head. And a question could just be like, what would a friend say to me if they were seeing the situation? Or another prompt could be, what did I do well today? So just kind of think about those are some ways you can start to reframe it and getting out of your head and onto paper. And then I want you to read it after you write it because then you're absorbing it back in. It's almost like you have this negative critic, it's coming out on paper, and then your friend is guiding you, and then you're absorbing it back. Does that make sense? I want you to really practice giving yourself grace. And this can be in any area of your life. And it could be with parenting, it could be at work, it could be with exercise, it could be with nutrition. I'll share a personal story. Recently, I was on this fitness quest, which you may have heard I lost 40 plus pounds at this point. And for the last 2 months, I was kind of stuck. And I was just like really beating myself up. I'm like, I'm still working out. I'm still, trying to stay within my calorie range, all of these things. But at the same time, I was going through a lot of emotional things. So in those 2 months, I really had to like step back and give myself grace and say, you're doing the best that you can. And it's okay. You don't have to get from point A to point B within record time. You have, time to get there. A lot of times, especially if you're impulsive like I am, you want it like yesterday. You don't want it tomorrow. You don't want it a minute from now. You wanted it like back then. So you're trying to like catch up backwards. I don't know if that makes sense, but I feel that sometimes. So sometimes you just need to have a little bit of that grace and that built in like pause. It's kind of like, let's slow down. It's like a reminder of like, slowing down is okay. It doesn't mean that I'm a failure. It just means that I need to take space and breathe and really think about what's most important right now. And if I'm going through emotional healing, that has to take priority over my physical, losing of weight in that moment because I have to prioritize accordingly. There's different levels of wellness, and it's not just physical fitness, it's also emotional, spiritual, many other areas that you could put in your health categories. Some ways to give yourself grace is if you feel like you haven't done enough or you haven't reached a certain goal, is just to write down at the end of the day what you did do, like a daily done list instead of a daily to do list. And this can just really reflect back on, oh, well, I still did that today. Like even today, I had that day because I had a very emotional morning and afternoon. And then a friend texted me and was like, "Oh, what did you do today?" And then I realized I actually still got a lot of things done. So that daily done list can really help you reflect and say, "Oh, you kind of get impressed with yourself because even when you think you're not accomplishing something, you really are." And another thing you can do is just 2 minutes of just like self affirmations and like self kindness. So maybe just sit in 2 minutes, eyes closed, and just say nice things to yourself. I know that might sound foreign, but it's something that really helps because again, the goal is to really change your inner critic, that inner mindset. So the more you practice these things, the more you're kind of getting yourself in this habit of speaking kindly to yourself. I want to also talk about, like people may say in your life, or you might even think that, what if I do all this and then I'm being like so egoic or prideful oh, and that's not true. I want to say when you're taking pride in your accomplishments, like your daily done list, you're actually empowering yourself. So this is like an empowering mindset. And it's not a prideful, egoic mindset. It's saying, hey, I'm taking ownership of my life and look what I'm doing. And it's also reframing the thought of, I'm not there yet, or I haven't done enough, to look how far I've come, right? I'm going to say that one again because I think someone needs to hear that that's watching this. It's reframing, I'm not there yet, to look at all that I've done. That's a big one. I want you to start saving a proof of progress list. And what I mean by this are you can save like little texts. Maybe someone texts you of like what a great job you did or gives you a compliment. And I just want you to take a screenshot and save it. This is going to be a proof of progress, or it could be even a proof of progress vision board. It could be whatever you want to call it, mood board. So saving texts, anything that you accomplish, maybe at the end of each week, you write down your daily or your weekly done list or your daily done list, or maybe you do something that you're really proud of and you take a snapshot of that moment and you put that in your proof of progress list. This is a place you're going to come when you're feeling like not good enough. I want you to read the text. I want you to read the journal entries, and see the photos, because these are things that are going to say to your mind, oh, wait a second, I'm doing better than I thought I was. Another thing I want to mention that my friend Kim said today that really resonated with me was, think of any thought that you have, even if it's negative, as a gift. See everything as a gift, because there's a lesson in that. So, say you're having like a negative thought, you can say, this is a gift. What is it trying to teach me? Because there's always something behind that thought that you can learn from. So that's just something else I really wanted to throw in here because I think it's important to kind of see those thoughts as a gift as we're shifting them into something positive. So, some things, just to sum this up, is to really become aware of your inner voice. I really want you to just build that awareness of, how am I talking to myself? And be aware of what comes into your mind, and be aware of when that tornado or that storm starts going, and know that you have an action plan now that you can take yourself out of the storm and write in your journal and then return to your daily life. And I want you to give yourself grace as you go through things. And in a moment when you're saying, I'm not good enough, I didn't do that, stop. Once you have the awareness, give yourself grace, and then talk to yourself like you would a loved one, and give that love back to yourself. Because a lot of times we're giving love out into the world and we're not really taking that love in. And it's so important to give that love back to yourself. And then finally, I just want to say, celebrate progress and not perfection, because again, we're human. We're never going to be perfect. And celebrate the ways that you're not perfect, because it really is about progress and not perfection. So, this week, I want you to really just practice some of these tools and maybe, report back in the comments of if you get to practice something and really start to change your mindset, or just comment like, what's a thought that you have that's recurring, and maybe we can work on it together. And again, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, I highly encourage you to. It's free. You'll get more content like this about living authentically and becoming your best self. And don't forget to like and comment below. What are your thoughts? And are you excited to do this mindset shift? As always, thanks so much and take good care of yourself.